About a year ago, me and some friends decided to participate in the 2023 PJP Game Jam. We had a lot of fun, and since then we've done a few other game jams, becoming more and more experienced each time. This year we did it again, the PJP Game Jam 1 year later. This is the story of our best game jam yet. Okay, so it's time to meet the team. This time we had Remo, our full-time music man, Felix, who hasn't actually done a game jam before but is in charge of all of the tile maps, Oscar, that's me, I'm in charge of all of the other art stuff, and we also have Levi, who's the only person who actually knows how to code in this group, so he has got the biggest job by far. When we do game jams, we normally put all of our computers and stuff in one room so we can have a multi-day long sleepover for the duration of the jam. This time Remo's family was kind enough to let us set up all of our stuff in their garage. The most important thing about any game jam setup is you gotta have a lot of monitors, as many monitors as possible. For the last game jam we only had 3 people working on the game at a time, but we had 7 screens because, why not? This setup only has 8 screens, which is honestly a bit disappointing. That's only like 2 monitors per person, which isn't enough. Anyway, the jam's about to start. There is 20 seconds till the game jam begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No way! -1 second.
Oh, we've started building up.
What? Building up?
Maybe this sparks ideas of building up your town in a city simulation game, or maybe something a little more literal. But as always, you can interpret the theme however you like.
Very cool.
Building up.
And with that, it was time to plan. The jam is only 48 hours, so it's essential to make a solid plan early on so we don't end up switching our ideas halfway through. After a few hours, we decided on an idea. You play as a little astronaut stranded on some alien planet. Your ship is wrecked, but you have the blueprints to build another one. The only problem is, you don't have any resources, so you have to go around the map collecting all of the materials required to build up your ship, so that you can fly away. We had our plan and we were ready to get started. Remo began on the music. Felix made a rough sketch of the map so we would have a rough idea of what kind of tiles we'd need to make. I made a list of wildlife that the astronaut would bump into on the planet, and using a placeholder tile set, Levi got started on an auto tiler. But I don't really know anything about coding, so here's Levi to explain that bit.
We're using Godot, and Godot just happens to make auto tiles very easy to implement. Auto tiles, by the way, are magical. You just draw the shape you want, and the game engine handles the rest. This is after Felix has drawn all 47 tiles. In every other game jam we've done, we've always used regular tiles, often wanting the same effect you get using an auto tile, but then running low on time and having static terrain, so the trade-off of time invested to time saved wouldn't be that great. However, in our rough plan we wanted to include editable terrain, and decided that an auto tile would be the best way to do that.
In previous game jams, I usually leave drawing and animating the player character to the last minute, but in this time, I thought I should probably do it at the start, because it's the thing that the player sees the most. I went for the astronaut because it has a helmet, which means I don't have to draw the head. I find whenever I try to draw a little character with a big head, it always looks like a really old baby, which isn't exactly the look which we're going for. For other jams, I've done robots, goblins, and weird cat-dog thingies to avoid this issue. This time it's the astronaut, and honestly, I think it looks really cool. I like the cape. I think that adds a lot of motion to the animation and run cycle. We also wanted to have a dodge roll in the game, but I was unsure as to what that would look like. But thankfully Remo did this splendid demonstration for me. Speaking of Remo, he's been hard at work doing the music. Here he is to talk about that.
Hello, I'm Remo, the composer for the game jam Rocket Ranch. This is how I went about doing my stuff. I'm not very good at making music, and this is my second time composing stuff for a jam or any project, really, at all, ever. So basically, I have no clue what I'm doing. So a lot of what I did took inspiration from others. The way I make music is generally I will lay out either a melody or a bass or percussion line. For those of you who don't know much about music, songs are split up into a few parts. The intro, the verses, the chorus, the outro, and sometimes a bridge. However, because of the tight time schedule and me not being that skilled, a lot of my music was repetitive loops with an intro, a chorus, and an outro. A lot of music making for me, since I use a very rudimentary DAW, which is a digital audio workspace, is taking things I like specific instruments, riffs, or pedal tones, and fixing them together in different octaves and tempos that work together well. I usually did this to get a melody for my songs because I'm better at making bass lines and percussion than I am at making melodies.
By the way, Remo listens to music while he makes music, which just sounds exhausting and incredibly confusing. I don't know how he does it, but yeah. We were all rather peckish at this point, so we decided to make our way down to the shop, but we couldn't stop the grind. So on our way to the shop and in the shop as well, Felix was still planning out aspects of the gameplay and making a big list of things to do.
Why did you think it was a good idea to make a list while walking?
Well, it saves time.
I guess so.
Our mission was successful. We had a lot of snacks.
Productivity setup.
I can optimally code.
With character animations, atmospheric fog, and a floor texture made by Felix, we were looking on track and the game was going well, but it felt pretty empty and I wanted to change that. As I said earlier, I made a list of creatures to include in the game. We were going to have part of the map be next to a lake, which would have kraken tentacles in it, reaching out to grab the player, which was my next task. The tentacle was nothing special, but for the attack I was inspired by the weird worm things in Hollow Knight, which actually have motion blur. Normally in animation people do smear frames and things like that to simulate motion blur, but the worms in Hollow Knight have actual blur, which I think looks really cool, so I wanted to do that for this. I wanted to get one more creature done before going to bed, so I made the birds. I like these ones. I think the flap animation looks super cool. At this point it was getting late and Levi and I went off to bed. Remo was already fast asleep and Felix planned on quickly finishing the tile map he'd been working on and then going to sleep.
As previously stated, I've never been part of a game jam before. As such, I really did not want to be the weakest link in the group, and therefore made sure I hadn't gone to bed until I'd finished the complete tile set for at least one area. This took until about 4 AM. I'd neglected to listen to the host's multiple and very polite attempts to make sleeping arrangements for me. So, as I dragged my sleep-deprived body into the softest patch of floor available, I found one piece of fabric to swaddle myself in. A spare curtain.
You could say Felix had a bit of a rough night. Either way, we had to get back to work. We all knew that if our plans actually ended up working out, and if we got everything done that we wanted to get done, then this game would be actually awesome. But we had a heck of a lot of stuff to do.
I also added a bunch of other stuff like fog and lots of other environmental stuff, like these fireflies which appear and disappear as you get close to them, and it's very cool. And we also added this water effect and tentacles and all this other stuff like NPCs which would fly away as you get close to them. I had to do a lot of stuff and it took a lot of time to do, and it's kind of hard to explain in this video, but maybe one day. Normally it would take a lot of time to make, but we did it all in a game jam, so it didn't take a very long time to make.
We made a lot of progress, but unfortunately for us, Remo's family was having a bunch of people around for dinner that night, meaning we needed to migrate to a different location. Levi's house had a little shed thing in the backyard that we could use, but it was very dirty, so Felix and I went down to get some snacks while Levi cleaned it up a bit.
To the supermarket at 3 AM.
It's not 3 AM in the slightest.
No, it's close enough.
Alright.
When we'd gotten everything sorted out, we went right back to work. The game was due at 12 PM the next day, and it was 10 PM for us. We had a lot of work to get done and not that much time to do it.
So bad. Terrible. I've got to remove the flash though.
Which is a bit of a mess.
Eventually, Levi got the game ready enough so that Felix and I could get started working on the map. This meant that we had to use Levi's computer, so Levi couldn't actually really do anything, so he decided to hit the sack for a while. I don't really stay up all night, ever, so when the sun rose the next day and I hadn't slept at all, it felt pretty odd. Also, I was very, very tired. speaking of really tired, we had to wake up a really tired Levi so that he could finish the entire game before 12 o'clock that day.
I probably could, but Oscar said just do it.
We
But-
have.
You know,
13 minutes.
Hold on, it's PJP game.
did you fix the foliage or will it just be luck?
I'm not sure.
Your ship has crashed and you've been stranded on an alien moon. Build up the resources to.
Dude, there's 8 minutes. You don't have to write a monologue.
PJP jam.
Yes.
You submit my project 2 minutes 30 seconds.
God.
What's it called? Rocket Ranch. How does it fit the theme? I don't know where to do this. You have to build up resources.
To build a rocket ship.
Right work and background.
Just
text.
go, Levi. Just actually go.
Yeah. Submit.
1 minute and 28 seconds. Awesome. That's been submitted. See your submissions. Oh, submissions will be available at the end.
Oh,
That's like 2 minutes. Have a look.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm gonna keep playing. This is actually quite fun.
Levi really needed about an extra hour so he could polish it off and get everything implemented properly and like actually give it a proper test. But hey, that's just how game jams are. I think overall we made a really cool game with a massive scope, but somehow we almost managed to complete it. Like it's pretty good. There are a few bugs to do with finishing the game, and annoyingly a bunch of the foliage doesn't actually render in the final GitHub version, which is very annoying, but oh well. In the end we managed to come 6th in the game jam, which is pretty impressive. That's the best we've ever done in any game jam before, which is really cool. I'm definitely very proud of what we managed to achieve in that short time, and game jams will never be not fun, although they are incredibly tiring, and in the future I think I will probably not stay up all night because it makes me very unproductive the next day. Anyway, that was really cool. Hopefully we do another game jam sometime. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.